So, kind of don't even show anybody. I've got the gas tank right here. There's a bunch of gunk inside, and like little clumps of rust and stuff like that. I dumped out what I could, and then I washed it out with a bunch of water. Got a bunch of gunk. I think I've already thrown it away. There was maybe a gallon of like clumps of like dried up gas and rust. There was a lot of, you could hear it when I picked up the tank and shook it. It was, anyway, so I got all that out of there. And then this morning, that's the sending unit. There were two contacts, like electrical contacts for prongs for the wire. Obviously, there's like a positive and a negative, and it works off like resistance to send a signal to your fuel gauge. One of those had completely rusted off. There was a lot of rust and stuff in there, but the sending unit I'm going to replace. It was frozen. It ended up freeing up, but I guess the face of this was all eaten up. So I don't know what the original is supposed to look like, because there's supposed to be it looked like there was a plate here at one point, and the wires went in. There's six bolts on it. They were all frozen up. I had to free those up. That took most of my morning, actually, freeing each of these bolts up to not damage the threads. And then I filled it up with the degreaser stuff. Well, I didn't fill it. It comes with it was about 2 quarts of degreaser. You're supposed to mix it with 1-to-1. So I put 4 quarts of fluid in the tank and just kept rotating it for a few hours, making sure that it got kept everything wet inside. There was some nasty stuff that came out of there. Right now I've got the acid sitting in there. There's 2 quarts of acid, and I'm picking the tank up and shaking it and rotating it, trying to get it in all the little crevices and around the baffles and stuff like that. And I'm doing that every couple minutes. So this video is going to be pretty short. There was nothing left of the gasket. I think it's a cork gasket. I found another one around the shop. I'm gonna reuse the other one. It's like brand new in packaging, but it's old, so I didn't want to waste it. So I just took some duct tape and wrapped it around, kind of folded it over and made a little gasket for the sending unit. Did the same thing for the gas tank, or the gas cap. So this is the gas tank. It's getting its acid etch right now. It's getting pretty close to 5 o'clock right now. I'll probably be here till about 5:30, waiting for the acid to do its thing while rotating it, and then I'm gonna give it its wash and then let it dry for about 2 days before I try to seal it. What else is going on? So There's the chassis. Front and rear suspensions are mounted. The drive shaft's in. The front, nothing's bolted down just yet. The frame is just sitting on the leaf springs at the moment. I've degreased and acid treated the spring bolts here. They go through the holes in the spring, and then got some nuts that go on the bottom, and there's like a tie down bar that goes on each one of those. I've painted all that stuff, but right now I'm waiting on a basically just a pad that sits between the spring and the frame on both sides. It's actually on back order, unfortunately, so I don't know when I'm going to get those. Also on back order are my my drag link and radius rod, like the tie rod end boots. So I've got 4 of those coming, but I think I'm going to have to order a new tie rod end on the drag link. One of my ends has a whole lot of play in it, so I think I'm gonna have to replace it, unfortunately. The other 3 seem to be solid. I've rebuilt the steering column. I've got it all back together tomorrow. Well, actually later today at the house I should have the gasket for this side and the bottom here. There's like 4 paper gaskets in right here. I reused them just to put it back together, but I've got new ones coming in, so I'm gonna put a new gasket on that bottom plate. New gasket here. I have new bearings, races, and new bearings and races for the steering column, and then for this for the pitman arm, there's a new grease seal down in here when I put it back together. Tomorrow that should be able to be, if I go home and FedEx delivered, I'll be able to put the gaskets back on that and put the grease or the oil into that. I'm not sure exactly what it takes. I think it's 600 weight, so I'm gonna have to find out exactly what oil to put in the steering column. It takes 600 weight in the rear end and the transmission, I believe. But I think I read somewhere, but I need to make sure before I put the grease in that. And I also now that obviously, if you know anything about this old stuff, this isn't actually stock. I think this is a 1939 and up steering column. The trucks, maybe some passenger cars came with this column shift, but that's not original. But that's what was in the truck at the time, and it was actually frozen. There's a bunch of gunk inside of these 2 arms down here where it fits in this whole assembly and is a grease fitting. So I took it all apart. I actually sandblasted there was a little bit of pitting in the shift linkage. You can kind of see if I roll this, you can see that I may come back later and wet sand this down a little bit and then paint it again. Not that that's actually functional, but whatever. I may do it just for whatever. But so these little arms shift between like first and second, or first and reverse and second and third. There's 3-speed with reverse. and it was all frozen, but now I can line them up and shift them separately. The other one's moving, but that's just because there's no friction on it from the transmission. And I loaded it with a little bit of grease, but it's all like freely moving, and you can actually pick them up. I'm not sure what to call that little unit there. The tan piece. Grandpa had one of these laying around. Your ignition, like, key cylinder fits in here. There was none there. I ordered one of those with a set of keys, and then it's actually got like a steering lockout. I don't know if you can see it down in there, but yeah, you probably can't see it. But this button on the side, you turn the key and it unlocks that button, and then you can flip it on the on switch. So I've got a new cylinder coming for that with new keys. So that's that. I also mounted up the pedal mount, I guess. I guess that's what you call it. Master cylinder fits on these 3 bolts here. Your clutch pedal mounts on this shaft, and on the inside there's another shaft right there, and that's where your brake pedal slides over. What else? So the front radius rod, you can see the ball down there. It mounts up on the bottom of the frame up there, and there's a stamped steel plate that fits over top. It's like stamped around that like radius that's on this here. So and there's supposed to be a rubber bushing that fits over that. The rubber that was there wasn't much left of it, so I've got a new rubber bushing to fit inside that little groove right there. You can see it there. It should be here today. So I'll be able to bolt that up. I got the rear end in. I'm waiting for, just like the front, I'm waiting for the spring pad. I mean, it's not absolutely necessary, but it would cut down on noise and wear on the metal if you got like a pad in there between the spring and the frame. So I'm waiting for those spring pads, unfortunately, because they're on back order. I'd like to get those because the bushing for the radius rod will be in tomorrow, or be in today, and I'll have it on the car tomorrow. I'd like to bolt down the springs so that I can change out the wheel cylinders. Like every other rubber part on the car, there wasn't anything or much left of it. So I'd like to change the brakes wheel cylinders out, but I want to get the suspension all bolted down so I can jack it up from the axle or whatever. But I guess I can do that whenever. But Grandpa had a couple new old wheel cylinders here, so I don't have to order those. Well, I may have to order 1 or 2, but there's a few here. I haven't necessarily checked if they're all if I have a pair for the right and the left. But there's a few here, so at least that's cutting down some costs on fixing that. Here's the drag link and radius rod. I degreased the ends and then did a couple quick short dips in acid to kind of get rid of some of the surface rust on them. Like you can see there, like it's cleaned up a little bit. But this end, there's a lot of like vertical play in this shaft here. Thankfully, that is one that can be changed. I don't have to actually replace the whole drag link shaft. And that's the only one that needs to be replaced. The others, I mean, while they wouldn't hurt to be replaced, they don't have any play in them. And what's really cool about them is there are original, let's say, Fomoco on all of them, so I'd like to keep them if they're not shot. Over here, maybe I should turn some lights on, but there's all the patch panels for the cab. Pretty much the outside of the body on the bottom couple inches were all shot, and either completely shot, as like these rocker panels. The rocker panels on the original cab are completely shot. That's the this part right here is the bottom of the rear of the cab. The entire beaded area was shot on the cab. The cab corners weren't in too bad a shape, except on the bottom where you wouldn't even see them, but I've got those, so I can replace the any part that is really bad. It was mainly like on the bottom of this here where stuff would catch on the bottom side of that, and then there's a little bit of that was eaten out in the door channel. So those are those. The actual cowls on the truck weren't too bad, except for underneath here, like your fender kind of mates up in this group here. This part, maybe about here, was completely eaten up on both sides. Like the cowl itself looked okay, but underneath where the fender was completely gone. Over here we got there's the bottoms of the spring tie downs. That's a little washer and the bolt to go on the cap for the steering column. This is the shifter lever. A bunch of other bolts that are in stages of being these have all been degreased and acid treated. The ones that are painted are getting painted. That's the suspension. Still trying. Well, these are the shocks. That's what was on the truck, and from what we're going to find out, those are not original. My guess is they come from a later model. These are the actual original ones here. Well, not original to the truck, but from the same year of the truck. From what I can tell, they've got the that sort of casting in the backside of them. And these have been degreased. I'm not really sure what to do with them just yet, because I think they need one of these like square hole lever types on them. The ones that were on the truck had these. They don't look like it doesn't look like there's necessarily a square hole there, but it could be eaten up. Maybe I could chip away with some of that a little bit more. But the problem is that, like this one, there's a lot of play in that shaft. So the shock is shot. I was gonna reuse these until I pulled this off of the front end and actually started look at this shock. This one here seems solid. There's no play in it. It may be frozen up inside. I don't know. I haven't opened them, but this one is obviously. I mean, you can see there's a ton of play in that. Yeah, so that kind of ruined my plans on these. Now the problem that I'm coming across is obviously this end link is all bent up, and I can buy these end links, which is no problem. The problem comes from fixing these shocks. I can't source well, you can see there's like a cap here, and the cap comes out and you can fill it with fluid. It's a shock. It's got fluid. It should have fluid in it, but if there's fluid in it, there needs to be a seal. Well, I can't source like new seals to rebuild these shocks. Now, there's probably also bushings in it, because this is like a rotating assembly, so there's probably an arm through here, and I could probably either make some or have some new like brass bushings made. I'm guessing they're brass, because every other bushing I found has been brass, but I could probably have new bushings made, but I don't know how to go about making new bushings or new rubber seals that would fit the shafts and fit and all that. So I don't know. I'm not sure how to go about getting new rubber made if I can't find them to rebuild them. So I dug around on the internet and tried to find which actual front shocks are supposed to be on it, and those that are in the back over there, I believe from referencing pictures, is what it's supposed to be on there. But the arm doesn't match up with the arm that's supposed to end up on this. Like some of these arms have a ball on them, like that, instead of this being pushed through there, like it's like forged into the ball, or it's welded in. So that's a big hot mess is what it is, trying to figure out how to mate up my front axle to the correct shock, and that's only if I can get these to work okay. Once I thread this cap off of there and make sure that the inside of that's not all seized up, and okay, so if I can get all that to work, then I have to figure out how to attach it with end links and this like arm to the front axle. Problem I came across is the only place I found that actually, because I can't source bushings or rubber seals or anything like that to rebuild these myself, it's like $350 with a core charge, and that's if one of these shocks is rebuildable each, to put these original lever type shocks back on the truck. It's a little bit ridiculous for some seriously outdated technology. I get it. I get why they charge. There's some work to tear each of these apart and make the bushings for them, and I might get all that. If I can do that myself, it'd be awesome, but I don't know where to get custom rubber seals made. I get why they charge $1,200 for a set of these, or $800 to $1,200 for a set of these to be rebuilt. I get it. It's a lot of work, and it's seriously outdated stuff. Like, today you've got like gas shocks and I don't know if you personally have seen underside of your car to look at shocks, but so as much as I'd like to reuse this stuff, I don't know if I'll be able to. I may have to, just for cost effectiveness, put a modern shock on all four corners. And that's actually the cheaper way to go. I can actually get all four corners with the shocks and sway bars, like to actually kind of do a little bit of modernization to the suspension, give it a little bit better ride around a corner or something like that, for the price of rebuilding a single shock. I can do all four corners with modern shocks and add sway bars. So I'm not sure what to do at the moment. Be nice to have some original stuff on there. And if I was doing it for somebody that wanted to have completely original stuff, like I'm trying to stay as close as I can to it. Unfortunately, it would just be a very expensive option to do that. And that's only if you've got the stuff or the shocks to replace those with, for that core charge. Since this is going to be mine, I'm going to do whatever's going to be cheaper for me. Like, I don't mind putting the work in, but if I can't find a source for having rubber seals made at a reasonable cost to fit the stuff I need, and I can't get the brass bushings made or whatever for the original shocks, I'm gonna probably have to, just because it's cheaper, while it will be an improvement for handling on the road, I'm just gonna have to go with the cheaper route myself, and I think possibly modernize the suspension a little bit, and figure out how to, I don't know. There's a little conundrum that I'm stuck at. I think that's about where I'm sitting right now. This is sitting a little crooked because it's not bolted down, but I'll give another update as more parts come in, and I either make parts or fix parts or rebuild parts. No, the transmission's going to be soon. Order new gaskets and new side shift seals. Because I figured the seals, from what I can tell, though, I mean the seals are supposed to be in behind these shifter linkage, like that's the top of the transmission. Figured while I'm replacing all the gaskets, I'd replace those. I haven't opened up the tranny yet, so I don't know if all the gears are okay or the synchros are okay just yet. I just started draining it last night. I haven't really messed with this too much. I've been doing other stuff, but my guess is I'm probably going to need new bearings and like that main shaft bearing. I may need those. I have I think 2 other transmissions laying around. They're top shift, but I think the insides are the same. They've just rotated the casting of this over to the side for the column shifter, but I may find out otherwise, but that's my guess. So that's probably on the soon to do list, is to get that transmission rebuilt with all new seals and bearings.